Hi folks, it's Chris Kerr with Reyactive. You can see I'm outside a good old-fashioned Mickey D's. I'm here waiting while my wife and daughter are off. My daughter's got dance class, and a toddler at dance class is just an amazing thing to see. But there's no parking, so Dad gets to drop off and pick up. So I get an hour of me time to reflect and time to think about what's going on in my world and how maybe that'll have an impact in your world. So if you paid attention last time, I did a video while I was on my trip to California with the Elite Meeting Alliances and CVent at Island Hotel down there in Newport Beach. I did a video that talked a lot about why and the end of your sentence, and that's what I called it, because otherwise if you're not invested in your why, if you haven't figured out what gets you up in the morning and keeps you going until the end of your day and drives you passionately through what it is you need to do in your day. If you haven't figured that out yet, that's not a complaint, it's not a judgment, but it's an important answer to everything else that you're going to factor into your life. And you're probably going to be one of those people stuck in that situation where you got 40, 45 years of working life for a company that you may or may not totally enjoy, doing a job that's really not going to mean anything when you're done. Most of those jobs were never designed to be career things. They're not really there for you to be there forever. They're there for you to learn what you need to do, earn your share, do the job you got to do, and then move on. That's what it's designed to do. So while you're figuring out what your why is, that's not a bad spot to stay temporarily. 4, 5, or 6 years if you need to. But by that point, life is expecting you to move on to something else. It's expecting you to figure out what you need to figure out to do what you got to do to live the life you want to live. That's what it's there for. And anything that tells you otherwise, really, for most people, that's not true. It's just not true. You can do whatever it is that's in your passion, for the most part, without having to go do it for somebody else. But it means you got to work your tail off. It means you got to commit to something that's bigger than you. You need to believe that this is the kind of thing that you can't not do with your life. That every day when you get up, this is the thing that drives you, because you're going to leave your mark on the world this way. So that's what my video was about last time. And today I want to follow up a little bit on that. I want to bend your ear for a minute or two to follow up a little bit more specifically on some key points that I've had occur to me since that last video. Now, I've had a number of people talk to me and they appreciated the last video because it kind of helped them squirrel away some points in their heads. But then came a couple follow-up questions. Really how do I do this? If I don't know what my passion is, what do I do now? A great young guy who's starting off his career thinking what kind of speaking he wants to do. He knows it's going to involve speaking because it's something that he can help other people in a pretty transformational way. He's thinking along those lines, but he was having a hard time because being 23, 24 years old, it's difficult to know what it is you're even good at, let alone what you could be great at helping other people at. And a lot of people are running into that problem, not just millennials, but people who've been around the block a few times. You know, you can see my gray hairs, I'm not talking out of school here, right? But people who've been around the block a few times have said, you know, we were never taught this. We were never trained or groomed to be entrepreneurs. We were never taught that you were supposed to stand up on your own 2 feet and make something of yourselves. We were taught that you were supposed to go out and get a good job and support your family with a good job. No one told us the good jobs were going away. The good jobs would never last. No one told us that. No one told us that we had to stand on our own 2 feet, build something that would last for ourselves and for our families. That we'd have to leave something for our families. And we'd have to make up for the sins of our forebears, right? No one tells you those things when you're going through high school. No one tells you those things as you're going through college, as you're getting ready for your next promotion or your next job. No one tells you any of that stuff. And here I am, kind of standing out on a flagpole here, telling you that's the situation. The jobs are not portable. The jobs are not going to be there in every industry all the time, no matter what it is you want to do. They're just not available for everybody. Not for everybody who graduates. Just because you get a degree does not mean you're entitled to a job. It does not mean you're going to get a job. Ever. You have any doubts about that? Ask the kids in France. In France, for quite a long time there, it was 5 years after graduation before the average person managed to get a menial or minimum wage job kind of a thing, let alone a job in their own field. Think about that for a minute. You get $100,000 student loan, and the truck was starting up here, but you get $100,000 worth of student loan debt, and it's 5 years before you get a job that's going to even make a dent in it. Think of the interest that's going to accumulate on that. Okay, this is no fun, right? So when you're talking about it from the point of view of what you can do to find your passion, it's not an easy answer, right? You got to try a few things, but you can start someplace pretty confidently. And so it's not the right thing. If you talk to the top superstars in the world, very, very, very few of them started off at the ripe old age of 4 or 5 years old or whatever, knowing that was exactly what they were going to do with their lives. It's very rare. Most of the superstars, most of the top lawyers, most of the top business people, top doctors, they had different ideas in mind. It wasn't where they planned to be. But as they kind of got older and they tried different things out, it kind of refined their focus or turned them around or got them into something else. And so they wound up in different spots. And I don't know that they necessarily are mad about it. I think a lot of them, if they look back on their careers, there were a lot of things they enjoyed about their careers. So when I talk about your passion, I don't just like Mike Rowe, Dirty Jobs fame. I'm not saying don't work until you get your maximum passion-oriented job. No, that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying work your ass off so you can do your maximum passion-oriented job. In the meantime, do that and go looking for something that will make the mark based on what you're truly great at. Take the time to try out a few different roles, to try out a few different things. Take the time to get to know who you are as a person. Because that means you got to go out and try public speaking in this one guy's case, and you're going to try it from the point of view of what you do know. Well, if you're 23, what do you know? You know what 23-year-olds like you encounter in your life. And whether that's job prospects being limited, whether that's workplace environments that don't really work for millennials right now, whether that's the big question about what is the real value of a post-secondary education today, whether that's what challenges kids have. By kids, I'm not being pejorative. I mean the ones who are 25 years younger than me, right? What challenges do they have in starting a business that are different than the people who are my age starting a business? And what are the same? How can they merge or bridge the gap so everybody gets to work together a whole lot better? Those are areas that a lot of older people can't talk to. They can't. They're not millennials. They don't know what's going on in their heads. They don't know what the culture change is. When we grew up, we didn't get iPhones. We didn't get Galaxy, Samsung phones. We weren't allowed phones, period. We had to beg for time on the house phone, right? You know, the thing with the ringy-dingy, you know, that thing? Yeah, we had to beg on that. Computers? You're joking, right? Most homes didn't get computers until much later. Not home computers. And when we did have them, they were so expensive, parents kept track of them more than kids did. It wasn't until we were well into high school that changed. So now you're talking about complete generational disconnect. These are kids that grew up where everybody had electronic devices at the wazoo. Our way of spending time with our friends was getting on a bike and riding 5 miles to go hang out with a buddy next door, kind of thing. You know what I'm saying here. So it's a completely different worldview, and we're asking them to commit to our worldview as older generational people. Now, I'm by no means calling myself old, but I'm saying there's a 25-year gap, right? In my case, others it's more, others it's less, but there's still a big gap. And when you put it in that context, when you talk about it from that perspective, what they know, how they solve problems is going to be different than how we do. There are advantages to both and disadvantages to both. And until we get a handle on it, there's a value all on its own for younger people to be speakers on their issues, on their assets and advantages. And so maybe that's where my buddy is destined to be great and start his career in that field. Maybe it isn't, but at least if he gives it a shot for a year, he'll know what he likes and what he doesn't like about it, whether it's the thing that drives him passionately or not. And he'll be that much further down the road, he'll make some money at it, and he'll know what he wants to do from there. And he'll try something else, and he'll try something else. And that is the answer to the question. It's not about having a silver bullet answer to what drives me passionately. It's about working incrementally, trying new things over and over and over again until you get to the answer that says, aha. There's a quote that goes like this: the two most important days in your life are the day you're born and the day you figure out why. That's it for me for now. Back to you later. Have a great day. King Chris Care. Ciao.